In the dead of night, with nothing but shadows chasing her, she runs, clutching her children, desperate to escape. But the darkness is more than just around her, it's inside her. Will she break free from the nightmares of her past and find hope in the unlikeliest of places? This is her journey, a story of survival, healing, and a new beginning. Stay with us as we uncover the path from fear to freedom. This is the story of a woman who ran away from an abusive husband but found herself haunted by something far darker, her own fears and painful memories. It is a story not only of survival but of facing the shadows within. In the beginning, everything seemed good. Lakshmi married Rajan, a hard-working man, and like any woman, she hoped for a peaceful and happy life. They didn't have much money, but she believed they could build a future together. She stayed home, looking after their children, while Rajan worked as a daily wage laborer. But soon, things started to go wrong. Rajan began struggling with financial problems. The pressure to earn and the failure to make ends meet started frustrating him. Instead of talking about his worries, Rajan turned to alcohol. What started as occasional drinking became a daily habit. He changed, and with each passing day, he grew more distant, angry, and violent. At first, it was just shouting. Then, one night, in his drunken rage, he hit her. She couldn't believe it. The man she loved, the man she married, had raised his hand against her. But after that first hit, the violence kept happening, and the happy future she had imagined began to crumble. For a long time, she endured the abuse, thinking things might change, hoping Rajan would become the man she once knew. But the abuse only got worse. He hit her, insulted her, and became more and more cruel. She bore it all, telling herself that for the sake of her children, she had to stay. Then came the night when Rajan, in a fit of drunken rage, pushed their eldest daughter. That was the moment she knew she could not stay anymore. Her children were in danger, and she had to protect them. That very night, while Rajan lay passed out on the floor, she gathered her children and quietly left the house. She had no plan, no money, and no place to go. She walked the streets with her children, hoping for safety. But safety was nowhere to be found. The streets were harsh, and she didn't know where to turn. They slept at bus stops, ate whatever little food they could find, and kept moving, hoping for a better tomorrow. But as they wandered the streets, she felt something strange. It wasn't just the struggle of survival that bothered her. It felt like something dark was following her. She felt a shadow wherever she went. She tried to shake off the feeling, but it kept getting stronger. It wasn't just a fear of her husband finding her. This shadow felt like something much deeper. It haunted her thoughts and her dreams. She would hear strange footsteps at night, and sometimes she felt as though Rajan was still with her, even though he was far away. The truth was, it wasn't Rajan that haunted her. It was the years of abuse that left a deep scar on her heart and mind. Even though she had escaped physically, the trauma stayed with her. The fear of Rajan's violence was so deep that she couldn't trust the safety around her. Each night, she would wake up in cold sweat, her mind replaying the horrors of the past. She would hear Rajan's angry voice in her head, accusing her, blaming her for everything. Her children saw her fear and anxiety, and though they didn't understand, they felt it too. They began asking, Amma, is everything okay? Are we safe? But deep down, she wasn't sure. How could she be safe when the memories of her past still followed her like a dark shadow? One day, while sitting outside a temple with her children, she met an older woman. The woman could see the pain in her eyes. Without asking too many questions, she offered her help and told her about a shelter nearby that helped women in crisis. The shelter provided her with a roof and some peace. For the first time in many days, she felt a little secure. But even there, the nightmares continued. The shadow still haunted her, not in the streets, but in her own mind. Through therapy and speaking with other women in the shelter, she began to understand that the shadow she felt wasn't a ghost or some outside force. It was her trauma, the pain from all the years of abuse. She needed to face it, or it would never go away. With the support of the people around her, she slowly began to heal. She talked about her fears, her guilt for leaving, and her doubts about being a good mother. She realized that leaving Rajan wasn't an act of weakness. It was the bravest thing she had ever done. As time passed, she found a small job at a hotel, cleaning rooms. Her children were enrolled in school, and for the first time in many years, she felt like there was hope. The shadows that once haunted her started to fade. The nightmares became less frequent, and slowly, she began to trust the world again. The road to healing wasn't easy, but she learned to face her fears and embrace her strength. She had survived the darkest time of her life and was now building a brighter future for her children. The shadow that had followed her for so long was finally gone. Her story isn't just about escaping an abusive husband. It's about confronting the darkness within, the fears and memories that haunt us all. She fought not just for her safety, but for her soul. Her journey shows us that even in the darkest times, we can find the strength to rise, to face our shadows, and to move forward into the light.